Right?
Absolutely.
That's good. Hey, y'all, I want you to welcome my special guest, the one and only Paul Thomas.
Hey, it's good to be here. It's good to be back with everybody.
I thought about having you come in with a towel around, like you were, like a wrestler.
Oh yeah, I come in through a few shadows.
Yeah, I need to put a middle Paul the headmaster Thomas.
Yeah, I support this message. I feel like I need some walk-on music as well, so we'll put our heads together on that. We'll
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Wait.
Maybe that doesn't send the right message, but it's good. It's good.
Maybe it does send the right message. Because if you all don't know, Paul Thomas is the head of school. He's going to be our school minister at Salt and Light. And so this is an update podcast about what's been happening between February and today. So we had one podcast after you took the role of agreed to the role. You didn't take over. You didn't usurp authority in that way, but you were asked and accepted the call to take on school minister. You guys have been ripping and running.
It's been busy. Let's just suffice to say, it's been busy.
Yeah. So we have updates. We started out in February with, we started last year, but when we announced it in February, we just decided to shoot big. We said K through 12, tuition free, Christ-centered education. That's our goal. We put it out in 4 phases, and we've made all of that known. It's all on our website. You guys can go check all that out. Don't want to rehash all of that. But where did we land? There were 3 things at play. We needed a building. We needed to build out our building to make rooms.
Yep.
We needed finances. That was a huge one. And then we needed teachers to teach those students. The students were not a problem. Before we ever even got to the point of opening up, that we would have had plenty of students.
There was a ton of traction already. But in regards to those things that you said, yes. Financing, it's an easy benchmark, right? It's numbers. So we set that number and said, if we don't reach a certain financial goal, then we'll pivot. So the building and building out classrooms and things like that, that is ongoing, so we're still, I use the loving phrase all the time, it's a bottleneck, right? But we've approached that with what I would call an entrepreneurial or creative mindset, and we're not letting it stop us. So to summarize, yes, with the building, yes, the finances, and yes, the teachers. And we've gone through iterations with the teachers. We've had our ups, we've had our downs, but most importantly, I think we've received a lot of trials in that regard, and to me that just strengthens my faith, just as the scripture says it would. We go through these hard times, and at one time we had 7 teachers, and now we've pivoted, and now we have 6 teachers. We've actually combined 3rd and 4th grade for a maximum of 13 students in that class.
So let's talk real quick about that, number of classes, because this has been a big thing on everybody's mind from the very beginning. It was, how crazy you guys are going to go through K through 12. Yeah. Well, we didn't make it to K through 12. So where did we land?
So in regards, that financial benchmark was the pivot. And once we did that, we moved from a K through 12 model, and we looked at what would best serve us and what would affect the most people and affect the most students, while still being responsible, while still making good, godly decisions. And we landed on K through 12, so 7 grades, kindergarten through 6th.
K through 6.
K through 6. There you go. Can't even talk. I'm still excited by the vision that was cast. K through 6 is where we landed.
Yeah. So K through 6, because we set a time and a benchmark, and I think it was April. I think it was April 31st.
April, that sounds right.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, our benchmark. So internally, we were not internally me, but internally in the church, we were saying if we don't reach 200, I believe if I remember correctly, it was $250,000.
That's right. Yeah.
If we don't reach $250,000 by April 31st, then we have to pivot.
Yes.
And we reached a fair amount at that time. I think it was $130,000.
Yeah, that's right.
So we raised $130,000. That's from an announcement in February until we had our vision tour in April, and then a few weeks after that, as things trickled in, we raised $130,000. But it's not $250,000. Yeah. And so we ran into a problem of we can't hire these teachers and then not pay them. We've said from the beginning, we're going to pay our teachers.
Yes.
We want to pay our staff. We want to pay our teachers. We are tuition free. That does not mean we are acting as volunteers. Now, some people can.
Yeah.
You can volunteer. You know this. You can. But we're not coming to people and saying, would you give your time and come and teach, and your knowledge come and teach, but charge us nothing.
Yes.
We want to pay. We think a man is worthy of his hire, but we can't afford without having that $250,000. We can't afford all of those teachers.
Absolutely.
And we can't afford all the build out. So we pivoted, scaled back, and said, okay, K through 12. And I think the Lord did a good thing in that K through 12 because
K through 6.
We both did it.
Oh man, I don't feel so bad now.
Okay, good. That was so natural. The way that just like came right out.
Dude, the vision is out there, and I'm not letting go of that vision. So we'll just keep that in the back of yours and my mind, and your mind as well. This is a growth mindset. But right now, foundational approach, K through 6.
That's right. So we're K through 6. At the bare minimum, next year we will add 7.
Absolutely. We want to follow our students. Like, I'm not going to grow this methodology this year in K through 6 and then not follow through next year. So yes, a bare minimum will follow in 7th grade next year. So,
and if the Lord provides, we'll go as much as He'll give us.
Absolutely. So I am ready to grow to that K through 12. It's already on my tongue. It's already in my mind.
Yeah.
Now it's just in the Lord's timing.
And what we didn't realize was when the money didn't come in, and we were like, there was a moment where it was like, oh man, like we didn't meet the goal, right? Yeah. But here we are 1 week before school starts, and we don't have the permits.
Right.
We have to get building permits to build out the interior of the building, and we're just hung up in the state level. Our building is too big. We're not used to things like this. At least I'm not. I'm not. What do I know about giant buildings?
Right.
So our building that we're trying to purchase is too big to go on the local level, so we're on a state level for permits.
Yes.
And so until they give us those permits, we've been instructed, don't build a thing, don't touch a thing. You have to leave it all alone until we get all those permits in.
Absolutely.
So, but we had no idea. So if we had 12 grades,
we'd really be in some dire straits.
We'd be like, well, you guys can meet on the hill, and you all can meet in the bathrooms.
I've heard church talked about, like, hey, let's meet in a tent.
Yeah.
I don't think I want that for my students, but
I don't think they want that.
I don't think they want that either. Winter's coming, as it were. Yeah. So in any case,
and I'm not certain the HOA in the area would be happy if we brought in a whole bunch of mobile homes.
Probably not. Some modulars. I don't know if that fits the code. So that's off the table. All right. So we move from that. Yeah. So the Lord was guiding and protecting us even from the beginning, and I think His timing is, of course, perfect. But we have front row seats to see Him in action and to see what He does for us. So yes,
good way to put it.
The permitting still hasn't come through. We have many people working diligently and tirelessly, pursuing that and pushing it. But like I mentioned, in my little spiel in the beginning, the entrepreneurial mindset or creative mindset has allowed us or has prompted us to take different tacks in regards to that. So we do have all of our classrooms ready to go for a week away, and a lot of them are set up. I got to go up today. We're going to build out some more things for the classrooms, move some furniture around. So we're excited. Things are moving forward.
Yeah, and in such a good way. And that'll just bring me to that third one, which is the teachers. What we ran into is a lot of enthusiasm, but a lot of people who are kind of in two areas. One, already signed contracts with other schools, and couldn't deviate from those. Or we also had those who are kind of waiting to see.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, not everybody can jump on the Mayflower.
Yeah, that's true.
And so
that's a good analogy,
right? Yeah. So we can't all. Not everybody's there. Not everybody fits that mold, and we get that. We understand that. But what it landed us with is where there was all of this enthusiasm in the beginning. Lots of. I remember at one time it was like we've got 30 people saying they're interested in being teachers, maybe 30 plus people saying they're interested in being teachers, and that got whittled down to, by the time we were doing interviews, 15, something like that?
15, 20 teachers, yeah.
So we're down to half by the time we even get to actually doing the interviews, and then, that of course got whittled down, but I can say, man, like, I've met with our teachers, excited about our the Lord landed us first class quality teachers.
Absolutely. And the excitement is palpable, right? So of course there's nerves, there's all of the things that go along with a new venture, but at its heart, I can tell you without question that these teachers are motivated by the vision. They have caught the wind of what the Lord is doing. They've caught that fire and excitement, and it's inspiring. Sometimes I'm the one to remind us all that we're on this journey together, and that that there's still excitement there, even with all the challenges that we're facing. And some days it's the teachers that inspire me. So it's when you have people in a group, in a team, that are all pointed towards the same objective. It doesn't matter if I'm having a down day, they lift me up. It doesn't matter if they're overwhelmed, I lift them up. So it's a wonderful team, and I'm so grateful that the Lord has brought these key people in. So I don't know, I'm inspired every day.
Their motivation to teach is a love to teach.
Yes.
And this is no dig at anyone, because I don't know anyone else personally. I'm only speaking good about the people that we do have. But I think in anything that you do, especially in ministry, there's always that like concern of, is somebody doing this because it's the paycheck?
Right.
But our teachers are not here for a paycheck.
Right.
Like this isn't like, oh well, I went to school, so I better get my, not that our teachers haven't been to school. That's not what I'm saying. But just that like, there is no concern that, oh, this is some fulfilling obligation because I went to college and dropped $75,000 and now I've got to own up to that. We have teachers that want to be teachers because they love the mission, they love the students, like they want to be a part of this, and that's the part that excites me, is just to see that willingness and enthusiasm. Word of caution, because you're school minister. You may not always have that in years. There may be those conversations where you have to look at a teacher and be like, hey, we have a different mission, we have a different vision than what you're. But like that's the good thing, that you're coming on as school minister from the onset.
Yeah.
Like when those days come, you get to look back to these days and go, no. I remember I remember meeting in our Sunday school classrooms because we couldn't build out rooms because we were waiting on permits. Like you'll have that memory. So. Man, like what a really cool core group story that we have.
And I would follow that up with some of the individual testimonies of the teachers are spectacular, and it's not my place to share them. I hope as parents, as church members, you find them and you begin to dig into those stories, because some of them are so inspiring and so God purposed and God timing that it's things like that. I wish I was good enough to keep a running tally of all the things the Lord has done for this, and I don't ever want to feel jaded by what He does. But most importantly, or underawed by the things that He's done. But I would say some of the testimonies of these teachers is truly inspiring, spectacular even.
Yeah, man, so good. So let's speak into the school itself. There are questions. And so this answer will help to answer other questions. But right now, currently, there are questions about the dynamic of, are we a school? And so I'll just give the preface to say, from the beginning, we have wanted to partner with parents and to be a 4-day-a-week school with a 5th day that could be a little more free. The only way to make that happen, to make a 4-day-a-week school happen in our area and in our time without having kids at school until 6 o'clock at night, the only way to make that happen is to have our parents fill out a letter of intent. And that letter of intent would label their home as a homeschool.
Yes.
And that's where the question has come in. Well, wait a second, are we a homeschool or are we a school?
Yeah.
I think the very terminology to say, like, here we are bringing students in-house, teachers in-house, classes in-house in the church for 4 days a week. We are a school.
Yes. In most regular definitions of the word, yes. But, speaking with some wise counsel recently, I have clarified some things, and I could never quote the Kentucky State Constitution properly and the various laws that apply. But objectively, we are a school, we are teaching, and a lot of people see it that way, but also there's the other facet of, let's be clear with our language, and I'm learning to grow in that area as well. The term that I've not coined, it was not me, but the term that I'm sticking to right now is this idea of a hybrid homeschool. So we are partnering with parents. It's right in our mission. It's one of the first lines of our mission statement, and we are so dedicated to that idea. Like, our parents are the primary educators. The primary responsibility for education lies with the parents, and any parent that has been through our parent-teacher family interviews at the school knows, and I've had this conversation with everyone, is that there's this beautiful picture of a 3-stranded cord in their education. with the parents and the family being the central core. They are so critical. It doesn't matter what I teach them in school. At some point, their morals, their character, who they are, their interests, who they become, all of that comes from the parents, and that's a biblical responsibility as well. So we, as the school, we come along as the technical side of that. The reading, writing, arithmetic, and logic, those things we're going to teach, and we're going to teach biblical reasoning through every one of those areas. So yes, at our core, our vision, our mission statement is partnering with parents. So the terminology is the hybrid homeschool. Yes, so you mentioned a letter of intent. We sent out a letter of intent from the school, and we gave instructions on how to do that.
Yes.
So the name of our game is flexibility in this first year. So we are a hybrid homeschool. Going forward, we're willing to look at that and see if some other models fit better. But we want to be diligent in that, and we want to open ourselves to all the wisdom that's out there.
So what that means, and for you and I, this conversation does not feel scary.
Mm-hmm.
I get it from the standpoint of somebody going from, say, a public school situation to come to first principles and then say, wait a second, you're a homeschool. That feels intimidating.
Yes.
But let's be clear. Our school, our hybrid homeschool, but I'm going to say our school.
Yep, our school.
Our school runs from 8:30 in the morning until 2:30.
Well, it runs from 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Right, so recitation begins at 8. Drop off is as early as 7:30. Recitation begins at 8, and I'm happy to go into that. But then we are, and so 8 to 3. 8 to 3 is our...
8 to 3, and so we'll have recitation, we'll have class time, kids will break for recess, they will have lunch break, they're packing their own lunches when they come in. That was a huge question in the beginning, like, what are we going to do to feed all the kids? And I'm like, pack a little brown bag, you put a banana in it, and you don't. And by the way, I heard from our 5th grade teacher. She said, life lesson: bananas don't go in backpacks. I think that's wisdom.
That is. That's our 5th grade teacher's been teaching for many years, and she has much wisdom in that regard.
Yeah.
So that's good.
She said bananas don't go in backpacks. But like, you put a banana in there, you put a cheese sandwich in there, and you're good. Like that's life. And so, anyways, our kids are going to pack their lunches. They're going to have a lunch break. They're going to have a recess. They're going to have classes. It's just going to happen Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes.
And then Friday, we'll have a Flex Friday where we'll be able to offer tutoring, maybe even open up for co-ops to be able to help other co-ops. Our teachers will be there to help with extras. We'll be able to have art classes, music classes. But it's a flex day in the sense of, if parents would like to spend more time with their children, they have an entire day to do that.
Yes.
And they can work on their own educating because they are a homeschool. That's where the term hybrid homeschool comes in.
And that's how we're able to do the 4-day-a-week model and still give some of that responsibility, some of the joy of the educational system back to the parents. Now, all parents hear me, and the benefit.
Yep.
But all parents hear me. I agree. I get it that not everyone is gifted to teach, and if that doesn't fit your model, that's why we're there Friday. We're going to be totally staffed.
The school's still open Friday.
Yeah, it's still open Friday. We're fully staffed 8 to 3 on Friday. And then we have some offerings. All of the great things that you've mentioned are going to be offered. We're also going to we're looking at what that can look like. We've had offerings at the church for, I'll just sum it all up with shop and home ec classes. People are very excited about those types of things. Now with the K through 6 model, I can't quite teach welding, maybe not quite carpentry or cabinet making, quilting or cooking, some of those things, but we are hitting these sort of age irrespective things, right? So PE instead of recess. So sort of physical training. I'm military myself. I believe in training the body. So we are, of course, training the mind, equipping the spirit, and I think training the body should go along with that. So PE, that's, you could do that in kindergarten, and you could also do that in 6th or 12th grade.
We're going to hang a rope up somewhere.
Someone's climbing a rope.
Climb that rope.
Safety disclaimer. No.
Well, I remember being in school, they put a little mat.
Yeah, a little foam mat.
Put a little foam mat under to climb that rope.
Yeah, it's good. So PE, that's kind of my heart. I love those types of things. But art, you can do art across all age ranges.
Yep.
Music, of course.
Yeah.
So we're focused on the things that can easily reach everyone and is easily adaptable, because the name of our game getting started is simple. So I've said the name of our game is flexible. The name of our game is simple. our game
Simple and flexible.
simple and flexible. All right, so you're going to hear some more names in there, but we want to make it easy on ourselves this first semester. So we're going to focus probably on the PE portion, and then just have some art days built in there and some things like that. But yes, you mentioned tutoring.
Yeah.
With our small class sizes, we can really meet a student exactly where they need to be.
Yeah.
And that's great news for me. It's good for it's good for the teachers. It's all around. Just a good opportunity there.
Yeah, man, I love that. Okay, let me give another question, which I think you brought up tutoring right at the end, so it kind of lends itself into this, which is we've had lots of questions about special needs. What are we doing about special needs? And I think from what I've gathered, that question stems from two sides. There's one side that sees special needs as like full-on special needs, that type of classroom. And then there's another side that says, what about like those with IEPs or learning disabilities or, medications or those sorts of things. And so I'm just going to open the floor to you to let you speak into that. I have some things that I could say about it, so I'm not just leaving you hanging, but I would love to hear from you as those questions continue to come to me. What are we doing about special needs? What are we doing about special needs? Mm-hmm. And so you guys have heard the starting point of that, of like where our financial goals and what we were trying to reach and where we are now. And so let's speak into special needs for a moment, because that's a question on a lot of people's minds.
So, I've gone to school recently in a lot of these regards, but I would say before any conversation needs to happen, our heart is for students. We love students, and that is across the board, all of our teachers, all of our staff. We love students and we want to meet them exactly where they are. I'm blessed and fortunate enough to have people on staff that have degrees in this and that have great insights into, what a student needs. We've done individual interviews, and I've grown in my understanding of a lot of that. As far as our offerings go right now, our goal would be to meet them where they need to be. And, based on my staff, based on our financial growth in our financial model right now, I'm not equipped right now to meet all of those needs. And I want to be honest with parents in that, it's not from a lack of desire. Like if I had a bottomless budget, we would be doing things substantially differently. But
and you can help with the bottomless budget.
That's true. That's true. Shameless plug there.
Yeah. You can help make that bottom a little deeper.
A little deeper. Giving comes in many forms, and oh man, lots to talk about.
We're going to talk about giving here in a minute.
Yeah, that's good. So, but on the special needs, the IEPs, etc., we've reviewed many of those, and I think in the future, if we have a dedicated group of volunteers and educators and those that have a heart for this type of ministry, then we want that. We want to grow into that. But our pilot year, again, we can only operate in the constraints, that we've been given right now. So, so this year, we're very cautious on the admissions process, not for a lack of desire, but for a lack of support and staff and things like that. So it's an area that we hope to grow in.
Yeah, and so I think the simple answer right now is, one, we're not equipped for most.
Yes.
Yes. We're not equipped for most of those. That being said, we want to be equipped, and we're going to be working towards that. This is pilot year. From our perspective, remember, 6 months ago, we jumped off a ledge and said, oh yeah, and we're opening a school. Yeah. And so
jumped off a ledge. Yeah.
I feel like we jumped off the ledge and then said, hey, we're opening a school. Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah. So we're doing good. Like I feel like we're on track. We've had in my mind, a very successful planning season and a preparation season. And so we're growing in that. Now, I think one question that's been posed to me in different wordings, but it comes out like this. What happens to the student who has a special need, special learning, they have special learning needs, and you don't know that coming in, but you find out midway through? Are they expelled from the school? Do we have to tell them to leave? Like what is the plan? Obviously we don't have all the answers, but what is the plan moving forward for those unexpected things that show up over time?
I would say that we've done incredible due diligence in that. So I don't think that would be an issue. And I referenced, a couple members of our staff that are very apt at, diagnosing and reviewing IEPs and utilizing the medical records that the parents have. Like, we're transparent. We just ask the parents, what are the challenges? What is special about your child? Where do they excel? Where do they flag behind it? Whether that be in subjects or socially, whatever it happens to be. So I feel like we've done really good work in a due diligence perspective. But in regards to your question specifically, if something were to come up midway through the year, if the name of our game is flexibility, and if our motivation is that we love students, then we're going to meet that student where they need to be. And if that means bringing in extra volunteers or adapting to those situations, then we want to do that. And I think with our small class size model, so we capped all class sizes at 15 students. And as of today, I don't think we have any more than 13. So we have 13 students in the largest of our classes. So it's not one-on-one care, but it's pretty close,
it's a whole lot less than my daughter. True story. My daughter, fourth grade year, was in a class that was meeting in a cafeteria with 6-foot-high dividers because the school was just over flooded.
Yeah.
And they put tennis balls. Their means of keeping the noise down was to put tennis balls on all the bottom of all the chair legs.
Yeah.
And so they had all these chair legs, all these tennis balls on the bottom of them. Dude, it was a madhouse. It was so loud.
Yeah.
Where they were in that scenario. And her class size had 40 something kids in a class. I think it was 42 or 43 kids in one class.
Yeah.
And I remember Sarah and my wife and I were just devastated at the idea. We went in there, we're like, no one could learn in this environment. This would be so difficult to actually grasp anything. I mean, you almost had to kind of put your head down and just try to get it. At least I did. I had to kind of put my head down and kind of get my own space a little bit. I can't imagine being a teacher in front of a classroom of 40 with all this noise happening in the background. Our classes are going to have 15 kids.
15 kids. Yeah. So coupled with the small class sizes is also the beauty of the Flex Friday option. We have time built in for us to continue to meet those students exactly where they are, whether that's educationally, behaviorally. We really want to facilitate that. And we begin from the idea that not every student is the same and they don't all fit in the same box. So there's a lot of growth to happen, but I would take you back to, we love our students and we want to see them grow and be successful. We're doing our part with the parents to raise up a child in the way they should go.
I would put it this way. I've been personally kind of flipping this around and saying, we have a heart for this. The Lord has called us to this. It's going to take a whole lot to get us to say a student's going to have to, we can't meet this need, a student's going to have to go.
Yeah.
We're going to try to be upfront and honest about that before we ever get there. And if we were to end up in that point, I mean, it would take a huge problem that we just could not meet that need. And so I'm with you. I feel like I get the fact that it's a question and I get the fact that it's a concern, but I also feel like from my perspective, I can see how much, when you love somebody, you're willing to work with them. Yeah. So our individualized education plan, whatever that stands for, it's the truest sense of that. Our teachers are going to be able to get to know your students and speak into their parents, speak into what their parents are doing, what we're doing, and really have an individualized experience with that student to try to make sure, to the best of our ability and to the best of their ability, they're getting the best education possible.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, good stuff. Exciting things happening. I've got a question about grants. So I've had several people asking me about grants. It's the one thing everybody kind of defaults to is, have you all looked into grants? Have you all looked into grants? So I'll leave you with the grant thing for a moment and let you answer. Have we looked into grants, and what do those, what's going on with the grant situation? Is Warren Buffett going to give us $1 billion?
I hope so. But as of right now, a couple of challenges with grant writing is this. You need to be an established institution, so you need to have a record of, a few years under your belt for a lot of these grants to be applicable. And then the other facet of grants is that a lot of them are government-based. And I'm not here to rail against our government. I know, God has instituted government. I could.
Sorry.
I know that, whatever government is in place, the Lord has ordained those things. But long story short, almost all of those come with strings, and we are apart from the public education because we want to be different. We want to be conspicuously different. The Bible calls us to be different from the world in a lot of ways, and this is one way that we see is important enough for us, the teachers, the staff, to dedicate our time and resources to be different in this regard.
Amen.
So back to the grants piece, a lot of those come with strings, and we're very discerning on what we allow in. Now, all that said, if Warren happens to be listening to this and he wants to throw even $1 million at us, I would accept that.
I would take him.
I would totally take him up on that.
Yeah, I'd take him.
But yes, we are pursuing grants. So my main focus, so everybody knows, is getting the school open. September 4th is the day, but grant writing is very much something that is on my mind. I do recognize the value. We're looking at security grants, playground grants, building modification grants, things for safety. Of course, the educational piece, curriculum grants, being that we are a mission-based, tuition-free option, alternative. We have financial needs. We have many, and we hope to grow not only for this year's needs, but we also hope to grow an endowment so that we can continue to operate, efficiently and as God would have us, and see us grow and be a model for other churches out there. So I'm kind of getting off the grant topic, and I'll let you redirect us back there. But we have big dreams and we have big vision cast by the Lord, in my opinion, and I just want to be a servant in that vision. So long story short, yes, grants would help us meet our financial needs and financial obligations. So we are pursuing that. That would be the short answer.
We're pursuing them, but there are none that we have found yet that are available to brand new schools starting.
Yep.
Or are not government based.
Yeah.
And even the government based ones may have other stipulations as far as like being established. And part of that also is being accredited.
Yeah.
There's been a big question about being accredited. We don't have all the answers to that yet, but I could just say that I think I could speak into that to say accreditation is not what everyone necessarily thinks. It doesn't mean valid. I think a lot of people think, oh, you're accredited, you're valid.
Yeah, no.
We are totally valid. Let me say this. You cannot be accredited in your first year.
Yeah.
No school that opens up across the board can be accredited in the first year.
Yeah.
You have to be established for a few years to even meet the accreditation requirements.
Now, to speak into that, like, we are a member of ACSI, and we will determine in the future if we're going to pursue accreditation. But being a member does not, necessarily
Does
mean
not
we're
make you
accredited. And
accredited.
you made the point perfectly. You can't be accredited your first year. So,
But you do need to separate. You got to divide accredited and valid. We are absolutely a valid school. If we had been open, somebody asked me this. They said, if you were able to open K through 12, if a 12th grader graduates, can you give them a diploma? Yes, you absolutely can. Is that diploma worth anything? Yes, it's worth as much as any other college diploma. It's just not going to have a sticker on it that says, what did you say we were with, ACSI?
ACSI.
A lot of you maybe don't realize there's tons of different accreditations. Yes. Like, it's not like there's like one standard of accreditation. You're basically stating that you've done what this, I'm going to call it what it is, what this company says, this is what would make you accredited with us.
Yeah.
And so you've met their standards.
Yeah.
So there's lots of liberal accreditations that we wouldn't want any part of. So a lot of people don't fully understand that. That being said, that's grants. So I just heard last night about another means of funding that we're going to be digging into, which is family foundations. So there are a couple of local, I don't know if I should say their names or not, but you would probably know them. I know you would know them. That very wealthy families that live here in Kentucky, in Louisville, who have foundations of basically like, it's not trust money, but like they're very wealthy and they have money set aside to donate, and they have them in family foundations, and it's public record. So he has I think it's called a family foundation, and it's public record. He has like tens of millions of dollars in there that they are looking to give away. Yeah. And it's not a grant. It is not like, oh, it's a stipulated grant thing. Looking into, I was sitting with someone last night that was telling me some means of how you reach those foundations, how you reach those people. Now, have we ever done that? No, I have no clue. This is news
Not
to us.
my knowledge. So.
But it opens up another door, and I think it makes the point for us. Number one, I mean, there's more to seek, but also like we are doing our diligence in every avenue possible.
Yeah.
Fundraising, advertising, whatever it is, we're doing everything we can to say, look, we understand the needs, and we're going to bring those. We're gonna bring whatever we can to the table to fulfill those needs, and trust the Lord for all the rest. I mean, He's provided this much this far. So, so I thought that was really cool. And then, man, here's some other stuff. I gave this to you a little earlier, but I think this would be good for others to hear as well. So, our school is set up in 4 phases. Mm-hmm. Phase 1 was in the building. Phase 2 is to remodel a barn and make even more schoolrooms. Phase 3 is to build a standalone school.
Yes.
For my vision, 1,500 students.
And it's a really cool vision.
It's a cool vision.
Oh, I like it.
Dude, I love it. And so that's only phase 3. Phase 4 is to, and we're already beginning the works of this now, our own foundation, to encourage other churches to do this. Mm-hmm. This is not we at our church want to build a big school, and that's it. Like, that's the vision. No, the vision is, this is what I said to someone last night. I said, I want 20 years from now that when anyone visits a church, if that church doesn't have a school, their reaction would be, y'all don't have a school? Like, that's what we want to see. We want to see the church, not Salt and Light, but the church as a whole stepping up in the greatest mission field, the biggest mission field in America, which is our American students that are going into what we know are indoctrination camps. Mm-hmm. And we want Christ. We know that the answer, we see a national problem, and we know that the answer to that is to get Christ into that. And what's the best way to do that is to put Christ in the education. Mm-hmm. And so we want to see churches far and wide starting tuition-free, open to the public, Christ-centered education schools.
Yes.
2 have already started.
What?
Florida. Uh-huh. There's a church in Florida that not only have they caught the vision, but have put it before their board. The board has voted on it, and they are planning to open a school next September after seeing us, a tuition-free, Christ-centered school.
So they have a direct line to us.
Yes.
We did it, and they said we can also do this.
There's a person in our church that knows the people at this church in Florida, and like are in communication with them. Like, they're totally telling us that, like, we saw it, we're inspired, we were so inspired, we took it to our church board. We're doing the same thing. We're doing this next year.
My goodness.
And then we just got word maybe a week ago that a church in Georgia is doing the same thing. That we have a church in Georgia. Now, they haven't voted on it yet, but they've got a group that's caught the vision, and they're bringing it before the board to get the board to vote on it, that they want to start a tuition-free, Christ-centered education. This is without us having a foundation where we can say, hey, we can help you. This is just people catching the fire, the call to say there's a great need, mm-hmm. and the church can fulfill the need. Yeah. And we feel like the church should fulfill the need.
Yes.
Somebody said this to me 2 weeks ago. They said, we love the church we came from. They weren't dogging on it. They said, we love the church we came from. They said, but the same week that you all are opening your school, the same week, our former church is having a car show. Yeah. And they were like, if we have to choose like what we feel like is important, we just kind of this, and I'm hearing this from lots of people, like they feel done with the car shows and the I'm not trying to like pick on anybody, but like people want real revival. Like, we want to see change, mm-hmm. and we know that the church should do that. And so when we're hearing of it, we want to latch onto it. Like, we want to be a part of change. We want to be a part of something different. And I hope that didn't sound, I probably should be careful what I'm saying there. Like, I'm not trying to make it sound like other churches are necessarily, we were right there. A year ago, we would be doing a car show. Yep. Because we wouldn't have been, we're just not doing a car show this year because we're all wrapped up in this. Yeah. But I think that's kind of the point, right? Like, we should be wrapped up in a great mission. Like, we see a need. It's right in our own backyard. Mm-hmm. We want to fulfill the needs we see across the world. Shouldn't we want to fulfill this need as well?
Yes. And I love the idea that the 50 million, like, that is a mission field, and it's here, it's at home. And to what you said earlier, phase 4 of the vision is to show other people that this is possible, and it's so inspiring to hear that people have already grabbed that. We we haven't hit the home run yet. We haven't given all the due glory to the Lord for what He's done for us yet. And we're already being able to see other schools and other institutions, other churches pick this idea up and run with it. Because I thought visions and phases go like 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 4.
Yeah.
So,
right.
anyways, I'm good with it though.
I think we're going to be like 1, 4, 2.
Yeah.
3.
3 maybe down the road is fine.
Yeah.
I'm good with all of that. I don't care what order it happens, as long as the Lord is the one that gets the order or gets the glory for that order. But even if this idea of 50 million students out there needing an alternative, needing the church to step up for them. I like how you mentioned it's not about Salt and Light, no matter how efficient or big or well funded or any of those things. We could never do that. And we need so many other people to catch this fire and this vision. And it's already begun.
Yeah.
And we're opening in a week.
Yeah.
This to me, it's just fanning the flames that are on the inside of me. I'm so excited to hear that. This is relatively new information to me. So, man, that's great stuff.
Yeah. So good. So just, man, last thing. I think we should have full transparency in all things that we're doing.
Yes.
So currently, last night, what I've understood is we have enough money in the bank for about 6 months of operation.
Yeah.
So we're about 3 months shy of, and then that, even if we had that 3 months, like we have to collect for the following year and so on.
Yes.
So financially speaking, like what is the target goal for this year in donations? What are we aiming to receive? What more are we aiming to receive in this year?
Well, to not put the finest of point on it, we're shooting for another $500,000 raised.
Yeah,
okay?
$500,000.
$500,000. It's for,
and that's by May.
And that's by May.
In school in May.
Yeah, and there's more to that than just teacher salaries, staff. That's accounting for a little bit of buffer. With what come what may, but. That is the number. That is the big vision that we're casting. And not only does that allow us to meet our needs, but it also begins to allow us to grow that idea of the endowment. So we're treating our endowment, much like a tithe. So any donations that come in, we're trying to be diligent and put back a piece of that to continue to grow this, to keep it feasible for many years. I want it to outlive me. I want it to outlive you. I want it to outlive the church. And as you said, eventually we'll have a foundation that can show others, hey, this is possible. Let's grow from this model. Churches, that is. It would be outstanding to me to be able to fund some of those missions and some of those visions down the road. And that comes with diligent, stewardship of the money that's brought in with us. So there's the idea of the endowment, and the need is, we'll say, $500,000, so $500,000 by May.
$500,000 by May. And, I hear those numbers. I'm like, my dad's rich, so we're good. Like, he's got the cattle on 1,000 hills. Like, I'm good. But there is a point where everybody can get involved.
Yes.
And if I was to calculate all of the views of all these podcasts and reels and things that we've done, that we've put out on social media, if everybody would give $5, we would have that $500,000.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, if everybody gave $5, we'd probably have $1 million.
Yeah. So double that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm saying that to say, like, one thing that we've wanted to encourage people is to say, like, don't let large numbers stop you from giving small numbers.
Yes.
If you can, well, let me give a story, dude. I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one time going to a church and they passed the plate. And they were very charismatic, and they were having this big concert. They passed the plate around for a donation. Pastor gets up on stage and puts his hand to his ear and says, what? He's acting like he's like, listen to me. He's like, we didn't collect enough. Pull those plates back out. Pass them out again. He says, now, if you ain't going to give more than $20, sit down. If you're going to give more than $20, everybody stand up. And, man, they're all standing up and waving money. He's like, all right, now that I got you, if you ain't going to give $50, sit down. We don't even want it. And so now there's all these people like waving, pulling out more money, and they're waving. It was crazy. And I just thought to myself, like, I was so turned off by that. And I would say this, like, whether you have $1, $5, $20, or if you do have the $100,000 and you want to be like, we want this, we've caught this vision. There's a place for all of that.
Yeah.
And enough $5 add up. Don't think that the Lord can't use your $5. And I would dare to say, for most all of us, like, man, we all say this, and you probably don't even have to do it. But let's say it this way: like, give up the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Give up the dessert one time when you go out to eat. Give up one cup of coffee a month. Put $5. You can go to our website and put the $5 as a reoccurring gift. Mm-hmm. You could put a $5 once a month, $5, and that in and of itself, again, if everybody would go on and do that as a reoccurring $5, this thing could be funded in no time.
Yeah.
And so I would just encourage you that if you're down to the widow's mite, the Lord blessed that.
Yes, He did.
And so, if you're looking at me and going, Justin, I really don't have it. I mean, if you don't have it, then you do have prayer.
Yeah.
But if you can give a couple of dollars, $5, $10, I would totally encourage you to do that. And I would encourage you to do it sooner rather than later. Like, we're trudging ahead. We're going forward.
Yeah.
So, we're just letting you know, it's not like we're looking at you and saying, if you don't give $5, we're not going to open. No, I mean, we're open and we're doing this thing. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, if we got to be out washing cars, I'll do it.
I'm ready. I got my trunks ready.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially on a day like today, man, it's hot out there. So
maybe we should just go have a car wash. Be like, hey, fund the school.
I'm ready. All right, I'll meet you out there. We got a few things to do today.
Yeah.
But I'm down. I'll start washing cars.
Yeah. So, man, I think this has been wonderful. I think we've had a good update. Let us know your questions.
Oh, yeah.
And you can send them to the school. Mm-hmm. You guys can talk to the school directly. I did have somebody say to me, they were like, I wrote the school and they didn't write me back. Y'all, like, it might be a little busier than you might be perceiving.
There's man, I wish I could summarize the amount of communication we get. And I'm not even receiving the brunt of it. So for you, that's on my team, that's receiving the brunt of it, huge props. I'm not going to call you out. But in any case, yes, that's happening. Yes, we still want your questions. Along with the donations, everybody knows somebody. And if I need to be the one to talk to them, then reach out to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is wise. I'm going to put out my email address. It's paul.thomas@firstprinciplesacademy.co. That's my email address, .co at the end.
Email him.
That's fine. and I will, it's grants, like, that's good ideas, but at some point you have someone in your family that wants to believe in changing our nation, right? So if your vision, if your motivation is changing the nation or changing the country, then let's do that. If your motivation is building the saints and growing the Lord's kingdom by teaching biblical principles, then I want to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. All of that said, we do get a ton of communication. So I may not get back to you right away, but all of that information is good information.
Yeah, man, I love that. And I'll just put myself out there to say, I'm not going to put my email address out. It's on the website. You go hunt it down if you really want it.
That's probably wisdom.
But, but I will say that, man, if somebody needed communication from me to feel better about giving to the school, I'm totally willing to do that. Yes. Whether that's, as small as a return email or a phone call, or even to the point of like meeting with somebody. Like I mean, you were there at the fundraising meeting. I've totally made myself available to that. And so I'm saying that to say, like, we can all participate in that. Like, you can make yourself available to get other people on board with this. This is a bigger vision than a church starting a private school. Like, this is a church starting an open to the public tuition-free school that needs the donations, but with this huge vision of all churches catching this vision with us. Absolutely. Because the mission field that we see in front of us is huge. Yeah. Just like Jesus said, the harvest is plentiful. It's the workers that are few. Mm-hmm. And so you can participate with that. You can pray for us. We're begging you for that. Pray for us.
Absolutely.
And if you can give, we're asking you to give to us. Thanks for watching today. And share this. That's free too. You can share and leave a comment down below, and we appreciate that. So we'll share it across the First Principles platform and across mine, and it'll be really great. So
good deal.
All right, man. Appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.